Hey, hey,
Oh,
hey.
what is up?
What's up? What's up?
So, question is, do you
Setting.
really have leaked text messages to share?
Hmm. Well,
Why, yes, I
the
do.
leaked text messages, yeah, go for it. Share away, please. And then
so,
I'll explain what's going on afterwards as you tell the messages. Go ahead.
so this was way back, like when it all first went down back in March. Please let me know you're okay when you get this. This is the girl who accused him or he got arrested with. Um,
Yes.
she also said, "There's no note, just you knowing what happened. Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said that they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're out. I love you." They just called me again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team, and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out, and your worry is my partner due to our communication prior, out of care. She promised all would be relayed.
Hmm.
So those are the leaked text messages from right when this woman got out of the hospital.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. Um. Okay, so I'll just say real quick on the arrest part, cause we won't get into how I know, but let's just say I'm an expert and I have a lot of people on the inside of this actual department, and it's standard. Like when you see an injury, regardless of what's being said or who's a witness, if a if um if a police show up to two people and they're both injured, they can both go to jail. So if they see injuries, regardless, like even if just because you get arrested for something, you gotta understand in any case, including the domestic, doesn't mean you did anything wrong. But they have a protocol they must follow because now we have to investigate and see like who, what actually happened.
Yeah.
So when the thing about the case is that this wouldn't not even been a domestic because um the fight was pretty much like it was pretty much over a cell phone. She was saying that he was receiving text from female. She wanted to see the phone, snatched the phone out of his hand, and he snatched it back. And she allegedly threw a couple of smacks at him, and allegedly he threw a couple of smacks back at her. And then I guess the phone fell or broke, or he received the phone back, and she left. The text messages is all that stuff in the middle. When she comes back to the scene, or they call the cops to wherever scene she's at, now she has injuries. And this is the problem. Because now when you have injuries, there's two things that can happen. You had a fight, right? Well, no. Um, these are defensive wounds. We were just slapping each other around. You understand? But the slapping each other around could turn into like a bruise or whatever. But that's not what
Yep.
happened because there was too many witnesses from the beginning that was saying it was pretty much a scuffle. Boom, get my stuff out. Boom, that's it. And everybody just went about their business. She wasn't knocked out. He wasn't scratched up. But she came back with marks on her. So that's what made the case really screwed up right there. Because you saying like she's playing what the detectives told me is that it seemed like she was playing both sides and they couldn't figure out why. Like
Mm.
you could get mad at somebody. So in most cities, you get mad at somebody, your husband, your wife, a girlfriend, boyfriend, even if the cops show up to the scene and you say, you know what, we're good, I don't want to, it doesn't matter
Yep.
because now the ADA has the discretion of, well, we're going to press charges anyway, because they
Yeah.
want to discourage this kind of behavior. And what makes this case bad is that I call it another Amber Heard case. Like it's
For
literally like,
sure.
I mean, I always say this much, being the way that I was, I always try to believe the victims But sometimes you just gotta do your due diligence and really like actually do good police work. And these detectives are top notch. So they
Yeah.
didn't release anything. The lawyer was releasing things,
I've
and
watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I get it.
and there's no 99 precinct. No, I'm kidding. So the way that they have it set up, okay, the detective squad. Okay, this is like domestic violence is like such a big deal. It's not even like it's major. It's a major thing. This is not even something to be playing with. Like that's why when this happens, it's like no joke,
Hmm.
because it's taken that seriously. I mean, we go back into the history. I guess it was like 80s, early 90s. I think a lot of these reports weren't taken, and as a result of that, I guess women were dying. I guess so. They decided, well, you know what? We have to make sure that
Yeah,
no one becomes a victim, and we have to take this seriously. It's a
which makes
bad
sense.
situation to be in as a police officer because it's like you gotta arrest people, but you're doing your job. But you gotta counsel them at the same time, and it's a mess. It's a complete mess. I mean, I always tell the people, please, if you can work out your problem amongst yourselves, just leave it. Leave the police out of your business. Trust me,
Yeah,
you don't want the government in your business. Once you call that 911, now you invite Uncle Sam in along with all of his crony friends that they take your taxpayer dollars and go against you. I'm just saying. So, um,
yeah,
which is the truth, though. I mean, people really need to know and understand how the system works. So. So, as procedure, they have to arrest the guy because obviously she's marked up. So they have pathology. They have forensic sciences in the department, and from what I was told by forensics and the pathologist is that when questioned about the wounds that she had, it was pretty much like as if she was trying to say they were defensive wounds, but there was no fight really. But the wounds did not consist with defensive wounds. So they
which
pretty
is
much,
interesting.
which they pretty much put in the report that these wounds are consistent with self-infliction.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that's what she did. I'm just saying what the report states.
Yeah,
Which is why she got arrested. Those text messages too being leaked was the icing on the cake, because she was mad. She was mad, and the cops came. She was already gone from the scene, but she was mad, so she was heated. He was talking to some girl, right? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not saying that's what actually happened, but this is what led to the incident of that day.
yeah.
She got his phone. He snatched it from her. She snatched it back. It was just a little, you know, it was just a little incident. I think not even worthy of the police time, but because she called the police later, that's what made it worse. And
Yeah.
you're trying to play yourself because you're saying to your man, "Oh, don't worry if this gets back, whatever. I'm not going to try to press charges," well knowingly. And if you didn't know that, it didn't matter if you was gonna, if anything happened, and they're not gonna arrest you. You're trying to get this man set up, and then you're telling him that don't worry if um if they try to press charges, I'm not pressing no charges. You did nothing wrong. That doesn't matter. Like I said earlier,
Yeah.
they can still press charges. So all that does
They
not
don't give a
matter.
fuck.
Their job is to make sure they go after people who are beating on each other. They really
Yep.
hate this a lot. It's a really bad. It's like the one of like I'd be honest. I've never been arrested, but if I was gonna choose between that kind of arrest and like a regular arrest, like a robbery, I'd rather be arrested for a robbery because this is bad. You know, um, even with this case, even when he's found not guilty, he's still got charged, which means now he has to go through a whole freaking process of being expunged. But really, what's the damage is done already? You already have an arrest. You already been fingerprinted. You're already in the system. You're already
Yeah.
another number. You're a K number that exists amongst the other criminals now. It's a freaking shame. But
No,
that's what
for
happens.
sure.
That's what happens. So I'm glad to see that there's actual justice coming out of this, and I'm glad to see that the ADAs are going after her, because I mean, wait, abusers will try to talk his way out of her.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah, that would be true too, because but the whole point of that whole conversation was there was no contact between them at the time of the fight, and then she left, other than the text messages and then the
Yeah.
call for to 911. So if you look at it in that context, that's why it's suspicious, and that's why the ADAs decided to go after, because they see what was happening. I don't know if she intentionally wanted to do anything to him. I think she called the cops and then realized after the fact that she called the cops that she was used to like, oh, you know what? Let me just like I'm not gonna press charges or anything. It doesn't matter.
Was there any
And
alcohol involved in this?
yeah, I think they were both drinking. I think they
Okay.
were both drinking. I think she was a little tipsy too. I think she was like they were saying like that she seemed like she was a little inebriated. But it was a celebration. It was a party for his
Yeah.
movie. So everybody was drinking, having a good time. A little too much alcohol sometimes. Is not a good thing when you're young
Yeah.
and you're rich and you're famous and you're new to the game. You know, I mean, he's been around for a couple years, but this
But
is
he
his first
just kind
time
of
coming to
hit. Yeah.
superstardom. Like
Yep.
he made it. Like
He
he
was
was
like,
that B+ actor that just needed those few more roles
yeah.
to push
He
him.
went from like D to B straight to A plus.
Yeah,
Like there was no climbing that ladder. He was leaping, making leaps and bounds on that
yeah.
ladder.
And now you see, like, and something like this can just literally just throw you off your ladder. But the good thing is, I will say a couple things that I'm glad that this is Disney, but it's still Marvel production, so Marvel Studios, so they're not
Yeah.
quick to fire you until because they understand, you know. And when I even heard of it, I was saying two things to myself. I was saying either one, he did do it, but when I heard the story about how they got into I was like, nah. I know he definitely didn't do it at that point because that would have
Yeah.
been the moment, and he would have been doing it in front of many people. That would have been the moment. He would have done his damage. You and the thing about what happened with him also was that after she left, numerous people seen him at the party just
Mm-hmm.
hanging out. So he had like literally an entire party full of like witnesses that can this is who could corroborate where I was. These are all the witnesses. They were all here during these times that this is allegedly happened, and the only thing that
Yeah.
happened was this scuffle, and everybody knew about that. So, um, yeah, all charges are automatically dropped with their humblest apologies.
So then I
Um,
also saw that there's like 40 people who have come out and have said that over the past 10 years, since even back to his days at Yale, he would kind of like flip a switch and had a lot of emotional abuse going on, a lot of physical abuse going on. What do you think about all that?
oh yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because I was
Like
gonna actually
40 people coming forward
segue.
all of a sudden? Come on.
I was going to segue into that. So I was going to end it by saying, as far as this case goes, it seems cut and dry that I think that she lost her shit first. He responded appropriately for that particular interaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, 40 plus allegations are coming out right now about this man's difficulties and how he's been. Doesn't mean you're a criminal, just saying like the way that they're. But at the same time, too, it's the same thing like when he was arrested. I know there are some actors that, you know, I've talked to a lot of actors when I've had the opportunities to,
Mm-hmm.
and I leave them be. However, it will come a point where something's being said, and you understand these people are going through a lot of shit, man. Like
Yeah.
just because you're on the show and you're making money and you're making don't mean you're not going through emotional problems. You're human. You're gonna break sometime, and you really have no one
Yep.
to talk to because you're so busy working, 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 working. Guys like me come along. We work in this industry, and our job is to pretty much like I seek these out. We seek these out, and we don't get too. But when I see somebody like that, like if I was to have him and let's say I was gonna drive him for the day, we would talk. And I would just like, hey, like your stuff. So what you got going on? And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I've had producers, directors, actors, actresses just literally just I felt like a freaking therapist, like opening up to me and telling me these things, and I appreciate that. I don't say what was said, but I did hear some real like some things that I was surprised about, and that makes me think, yeah, just because you're doing this job is very emotionally taxing. The hours are long, and I know because I do about the same amount of hours as they do. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like when we're on set and there's a shoot going on, you're talking about a good 16-hour day.
Yeah.
Well, you get some breaks and stuff. I mean, I get to chill a lot, thank God. I actually get to chill so hard. Like I feel bad for some of the actors. I feel bad for almost everyone in the staff because my job was like one of the easiest. I did
Yeah.
earn the position though, but it's one of the easiest I had to ever do, and I don't
Yeah, you
mind.
don't have to stand in front of a camera all day. You don't have to order people
I
around.
mean,
You kind
if
of
I
just do
want
what
to
you're told.
stand right next to the director and just watch him shoot all day, I could do that. I was doing
Yeah.
that on one of the shows. I think it was Westworld. But I'll be honest, when I was on set, I didn't realize I was on set, and by the time I realized I was sitting right next, because I thought they were just setting up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever seen this. I'm
All of
pretty
a
sure
sudden,
you
the
can
guy
find
goes
clips.
action. You're like, crap, I'm in the scene.
No, the scene was already going. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
But I'm in it, but I'm out of it quick. But the
Yeah.
scene's already going. They're not stopping. I didn't know. No one told me anything. No one gave any cues. I guess it went down the hall. I was starting to think like, now, yeah, I did hear
Mm,
like a little click down the hall, but still, you usually have an on-air sign or something. No
yeah.
signs. I got out of there quick. I actually wind up in a couple of films by accident, But I don't mind. They like being them. They're like, yo, you got good presence. I'm good. Just do whatever you want. I had my vehicle in one of the films as well. I had the lights on while they were shooting. Nobody told me they were shooting, and they cut to the scene, and they were like, "Who had those lights on?" So I'm like, "That was my van." And they were like, "Okay, keep those lights on. We like it in the scene. It actually make the scene look better." I mean, like this is what I'm talking about, like crazy
Yeah.
things like that. Like if I'm driving for the day,
Because it
this
makes
is
it
what I'll
real
go through.
world.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just like you never know, like what kind of interaction you're gonna have with these people. So sometimes I'll get people where I have to transport them around the whole day, and I will start a rapport with them, or hi, I mean, but then like I literally were just like they just, especially when you just meet because you don't know who this person is. I said, look, if you want to get something off your chest, I'm not stalking no one. I'm just a worker, and that's
Yep.
it. They start to Google my name, and then they start asking me questions. Like it's like, oh, this is you. I know. I'm like, all right, yeah, yeah, that's yes, yes, yes. So I've seen these people like literally like tell me personal things that like yeah, it's hard, man. You gotta understand. This guy's at the height of his career, A+. Everybody's looking to take you
Yeah.
down. I don't give a damn what who. There's haters in this world. See,
Yep.
thank God I'm not one of them. This is why I tell you to all the haters out there, y'all know who the hell y'all are. There's some haters in this world that if they see you doing good, they want to take you down. And I say like this: ignore the haters, concentrate on your grind. That's it. You keep your
Yeah.
mind sharp. Keep your friends that are really close, the people that you could talk to that will give you the best advice, that will never steer you wrong. Those are your friends. No one
So
else.
I went to
Yeah.
college in Fredonia,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a huge music program, absolutely huge.
Yes.
Everyone who comes there for music, drama, theater. We even had like a theatrical fight club type thing
Oh,
as a
I like
major,
that.
like choreography and whatnot. Like one of my buddies makes his own knives, his own swords, and like went to school to basically learn choreography. Um,
Nice.
and there's so the kid that's in across the universe,
Yes.
who's singing, like all the scenes are going on around him and stuff.
Yes.
He is from Rochester and actually went to Fredonia at the same time I was going there.
Oh, cool.
Has actually been in like multiple things since. Another one of my friends, Alec Grayson, is now like on Broadway but off Broadway, like doing shows that are very close to on Broadway or on Broadway at the same time.
Right.
Um, and then another one of my friends who I went to, who was there at the same time as me, hung out with her multiple times. Nia was actually just featured on TikTok for singing "Happy Birthday" to Busta Rhymes. He was at some event that she was singing for,
And he liked it,
and
huh?
he like, or she walked up to him and said that she was a big fan of him or something, and he said it was his birthday, so she just goes, "Let me sing you a happy birthday," because he was complimenting her on her singing and all of that fun stuff. So it's like I totally get that, like there's people out there who you're going to meet and they're going to make it big, whether it's 15 minutes of fame or 15 hours of fame or 15 years of fame. But that doesn't mean that you need to sit there and nitpick every little thing they did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it comes down to this. Like I said, with the whole thing that I'm hearing, I don't care. I've
yeah,
met people who were the nicest people, and I've met people who were A+ actors who were not nice.
yeah,
And I have my ways when it doesn't go my way. I have my ways. I'll tell you a quick story. It could be true. So one day, allegedly, had a transport of a very famous A+ person. I'm not gonna say the name, obviously. This could be a story,
yep,
but literally was the rudest person I had ever met in my life. I stopped my goddamn van, and I literally told him, "Take your shit and get the fuck out. I'm done.
damn,
I quit this job because of you. Get out." I threw him out of the
yeah,
van. I threw him out. I swear to God, he was trying to play with me. Oh, and it was like, let's just say the part of town that we were in when he decided to start riffing and where the studio was a pretty bad side of town, about a mile away from the studio. It's literally like
Damn.
okay, look, I'll put it to you like this. I'll give it to you even more context. It was around Bushwick in Brooklyn. There's a freaking studio in that area, so
Okay.
I literally kicked them out, or allegedly kicked them out, almost a mile away from the studio,
Okay.
and I quit. So I went
Yeah.
back, took the fucking van, took it back to my boss. I said, "Hey, how am I doing this bullshit?" Right? Gave him the keys and stuff. Calls me up an hour later. He goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I go, "Why?" He goes, "You can help me run a crew of 3 guys." I'm like, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to start running nothing. No, just I don't want to be bothered. That's it." "Oh
Yeah.
no, just come back to work. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "I quit." No, you can never quit. Come on, we need you back. So I just went back to work, and ever since then, it's just been like I got that rep because he was a big dude. Like he was a big major star. It was huge, huge. Um, I saw him again afterwards, and he was actually like almost blended in like a civvy. I didn't recognize him at first, but then
Mm-hmm.
we were talking. I recognized. I was asking him. I think at the time when we were getting on a new project, and I needed to know where the COVID testing station was back then. That was a big deal. Like it was. Oh, forget about it. So I'm
Yep.
talking to him,
Well, I remember those
and
days.
yeah, and he literally is giving me like all of the info and stuff. And
Yep.
then he's looking at me, and then I'm looking at him, and so we recognize each other, right? And he goes, "Oh yeah, I had to walk a mile through Bushwick." I was like, "Yeah, I know I quit, but they told me to come back to work." He said, "Sorry, kid, I was being a dick that day." And I'm not a child.
But
It's
yeah.
like doesn't show you how old this person is. So I was like, "Look, it's all good. I'm sorry for doing that to you too. I got too heated." So we apologize
Yeah.
to each other, and every once in a while we talk, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how it's done. I mean, like that's like one of the craziest things that I had to deal with because I don't recommend anybody do this because I'm lucky to have been in that position to where if I really didn't want this job, but the job is a lot of money, it's suicide not to do this, but at the same time, I'm not going to sell myself out. My principles are not
Yeah.
being sold. I'm not trying to be kids. Always get the bag. Always
Yep.
get the bag. Always sell out. Don't believe that. When people tell you, we used to hear that shit growing up all the time. You sold out. No, I bought in. I bought
Yeah.
in. That's what you do. You never
You
sell
know,
out. You
you gotta
buy
do what you
in.
gotta do to make money and do what you gotta do. Like
Just
as long as you're not selling stuff that's illegal,
right.
do
As
what you gotta
long
do.
as you get all your money legal. Hustle.
Yep.
When I was a kid, I used to hustle. I
Yep.
never not worked. 9 years old, 10 years old, I was in grocery stores packing bags. I was on corners pumping gas for people's cars in the winter when they didn't want to get out. They
Yeah.
trusted me so much. I used to get up and do a 6 a.m. job. I had a gas station right up the block where I lived. I used to get up at
Okay.
6 a.m., go down the block, work for like an hour and a half, come back, take a shower, take my ass to school, have about $5 on me. I was rich back then because I was a kid. I was like a 10-year-old kid with like $5 on me.
Yeah.
And I just made that like within an hour, like just or a half hour, just pumping gas and stuff. So I always had the mentality. I always say this: if you have a good work mentality, you're always going to succeed. You
Yep.
know. And I'm not telling people how to act, but you'll know if you have a mentality. And if you don't, and you feel that you need something to, set that straight,
Yeah.
always get the bag. Keep that in. I don't care what it is. I have friends because you have very famous friends. I have some
Yep.
very famous friends too. I have some famous friends who turned down lots of money. I'm like, I got you a
Yeah.
gig. Let's go overseas. I was doing a lot of promoting back then, so I was
Okay.
very young and I was promoting bands. I used to promote clubs too. I have such a rich history. Forget about it. When I am revealed, trust me, so you only know pieces of it. I mean, I could go back
Yeah.
as far as Studio 54. That's a whole nother thing. We talk about that one day. So
Okay.
I go deep. So my whole history is just insane. I'm all over the place. So I lost track of what the hell I was saying. Because I'm trying to figure out what era I'm in now. Okay, so what was I just saying? Just get me back on track. I'm sorry, I'm rambling now.
So you were talking about Studio 54, talking about how basically like grinding and hustling and
Yeah,
making
yeah.
sure that
So
you're always
right.
making money.
So
So you
yeah.
had a
So
gig of
even
$5 for an hour worth of
yeah,
pumping gas.
yeah. I mean I had gigs like up the ass. I used to
Yeah.
have a friend that worked at Dunkin' Donuts. I was going to junior high school at this time, and he would always tell me, "I got all these donuts on the throw." I said, "Yo, save me some of those and save me some boxes." I would come those donuts that they would try to throw away at 5 a.m. I leave them. They leave them to the side for me, and I would just make like 4, 5 dozens, put them in a bag. I give my friend $5. I take them to school and I sell them to the teachers. I sometimes just give them away, and they look at me like, "What the hell?" And that's it. I started getting keys to the rooms. I started knowing all the
Yep.
access codes to things. I started knowing all the back ways out of school. I was trusted with students. Like this is how it was
Yeah.
because I knew back then. Like I always know, and even to this day. Like I don't care. People, you could even be retired and made it. It don't matter. Never stop the hustle. If I know that I could be retired, let's say, but I have a job where I ain't doing anything and I'm making a lot of money and my time is being appreciated, why not? Because I used to ask this. I asked this one day to a famous actor. I said, I always wondered this because it's kind of weird to me. The goal of
Yeah.
work, I think, for the middle class is to make enough money to be happy. But once you made millions of dollars, you have everything you're ever gonna want, no matter what. No matter what you think. Like, just imagine having overnight. You woke up tomorrow, Chris, and you have $50 million in your bank account. Not only will you live happy forever, you'll know exactly what to do with that money because you've been living
Yeah.
like a worker. That's my point. So when you have
We
that kind of money, yeah, okay, okay,
we were actually talking about that tonight. I was like,
please.
someday if I do make it rich, like if I ever make it to the point where
Not
I
if,
don't have to work, well,
not if,
when?
my friend. When? There you go.
But like I get to the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't have to work anymore. I want to just do my thing, do what I'm doing, and just kind of like have fun doing it.
You're right.
Still obviously making money and investing and all of that. Like you wake up with
Mm-hmm.
50 million.
Yeah.
And I looked at my wife's having a girls' night upstairs. I looked at all 4 girls sitting on the couch and I go, in all honesty, I wouldn't buy a bigger house. I wouldn't do any of that
There you go.
because I don't want to move.
There you go. You see,
I don't
that's the
want
whole
to
point
I
too.
don't want to pack the stuff. I don't want to pay the person to move. I just want to chill and do my thing.
Look
Like
at all
I'll
that
I'll
behind
fix
me.
this up so much.
Look at that behind me. That's just one wall. That's the smallest freaking
Exactly. And I
wall.
only have a fraction of that back here.
I'm telling you right now, I don't care if my whole house was for rent. The spider's lair is mine. I don't care. I can rent it to strangers. Do not go into the spider's lair. They're gonna be like, "What the hell is it?" Don't worry about it. Don't go in there. I will never take this apart. I
Have
love
you
this
watched
lair.
Young Sheldon?
I do. Yes.
The last episode of season 6 where Mima's house gets hit by the tornado.
No, I didn't see that episode, so tell me about it. So Mima's house
So
got hit by a tornado?
yeah, so her house gets hit by a tornado and she decided to like start keeping some of the money from the laundromat at her house because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
safer.
Oh my god. And
And
now it's
she's literally sitting there picking up dollar bills off. And all I could picture was like comic books flying up in the
Oh
air
my
if
god, can
God
you
forbid
imagine that?
anything happened. Oh my
That's another
God.
reason why I'm not moving, man. We don't get tornadoes out here in the East Coast. We good for now until
Yeah.
Canada continually burning. How's the smoke
Oh
up
my
there?
God. We're at 160 right now for
Never
air
in the
quality.
history of my entire life or our entire lives have I
Yeah.
ever picked up my phone, looked at the phone, and the forecast says smoke.
Yep.
Think about it. When have you ever seen that?
Yeah,
I
never.
was like, smoke. I showed it to my fiance. I said, look, this is the forecast. Smoke.
There's
What the hell?
81. Last I checked, there was 81 fires burning. 10 of them were out of control, and the rest were like burning within their small space or getting in the process of being put out or whatever. Like there's so many right now that they're just willing to let them burn out
So what
because
happened? Like
they
Canada
can't
was
fight
going
them.
through a drought this year? Like it was a dry winter?
So it was a dry winter from my understanding, and then this is all happening up in Alberta where if you don't live in um like if you're not down in Calgary, pretty much
Yeah.
the rest of Alberta is all forest and mountain and
Yeah, yeah,
like
I know.
very small
Great.
towns. So it's
It's
like,
called the Great White North.
yeah, like
Yeah.
there's nothing up there but shit to burn.
Mhm.
So that they don't have the ability to like handle it because there's not um like these massive fire stations up there like there are in the cities.
There's no
So
Johnny pumps.
yeah, and they can't even, I guess now, because the smoke is so thick over some of the areas, they can't even drop water on it because they're afraid they're going to hit a mountain or some shit. They're like, I don't even know, because I
Oh,
almost wonder, like, do the instruments work when you're in that thick of a smoke?
I
Like,
mean,
will your
honestly, it may
sonar
throw it
work?
off. I mean, no, because sonar is based on sound. So these smoke
Yeah.
clouds, they do when they rumbling. It's actually like a vibration. So
Yep.
it will interfere. Yeah, definitely for
So
sure.
like you could fly straight into the mountainside. You might have put the fire out, but you just caused a bigger issue.
No, you put out the smaller fire, you crash into the fiery mountain that's all
Yep.
full of dry brush and set that thing on fire.
And
That's
now
what you
you've got
do.
jet fuel added to the fire. Whew.
Oh my god, yeah. It's
But
just
yeah,
like
I
there's no
mean,
winning.
it's
There's just no way
yeah.
to put it out. It has to rain. And if it's
Yep.
until then, just welcome to the new world order. I used to watch all these movies growing up.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. So people, I'm gonna give you guys all homework. I don't care what movie it is. Grab any movie from the 80s. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester. Grab the most action packed. Okay, 90s. Grab Total Recall. Trust me when I tell you. You're going to be like, they knew. Of course they knew. Almost every movie will predict this. Wait, matter of fact, just watch the original Mad Max. And then go to California and then you tell me, does it look any different to you? I mean,
Damn.
I like movies because it depends on who you are, what kind of imagination you have, or scientific mind. But it's almost like premonitions of the future. It will show you glimpses of the future. No more homework. Yay! Congratulations, I graduated. Man, I never did homework, but I used to do so much extra credit. You would have hated me. As a student, I was a cocky, arrogant asshole, but I was like, I was just smart. And I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to be a dumb, like a cocky, arrogant asshole. Okay, so I had this one history class. I had two little girlfriends. It was fine, I was 16. I think that one was 15, the other one was 16. And my teacher got mad at me. Like, and I always felt like he was just a hater, but I'm doing good in the class,
He was
got my two
jealous.
girlfriends by me. And he says, "What you're doing is inappropriate." I said, "Excuse me, sir?" He goes, "You're sitting by your two girlfriends." I was like, "Well, what I do in my private time is my business, but you're in school." I said, "But we're just sitting here learning." Like, it would be like one of those kind of back and
Yeah.
forth. Like, he hated me, like, at that level, but respected my brain, but couldn't fail me because I didn't do homework at all. But I did so much extra credit, like all the extra credit at the end of the test. I do extra credit, and I asked him, if I do another paragraph of ABC, it was a history class.
Yeah.
Well, I get extra credit. Yeah, I was getting extra. I didn't care because I couldn't write. I have
Yep.
the ability to write, and I didn't realize it until I was in high school, and I started finding that everything was just too easy because I was writing so well back then that it was just too easy. Most of everything, 90% of my stuff was writing, and the other 10% was math, in which I was also good at in math. Thank God, I was actually blessed in math as well. So I had the two things that you really like. Reading, of course, reading's nothing. I mean, I'm not saying everybody can read at a college level when you're in high school, but reading is something that to me is the easiest thing you should know. Writing should be number second, and the third hardest should be like well, the first hardest is usually for most people math.
Yeah.
It goes math, then writing, then English. But for me, the writing is the best and the English is the best. And mathematics, I'm right on par with mathematics as well. So when I used to do writing, I was like in high school, just like the extra credit was nothing for me because all it was writing. And I have so much to write. I just had too much to write. So I'm like, wait a minute, why am I gonna make this all extra long? I could take out this paragraph and just throw it in as extra credit. So that's what I started doing, splitting up my stuff. But they would always try to get me bad. They would always try to take away points from my grammar errors. I mean, I don't know if you were that kind of teacher or not, but my teacher, I tell you, was a dick. Every little grammar, or if I missed a comma or punctuation, like he would put it in red and minus. Oh, you are that guy, yeah.
I'm
like,
not that guy because I
straight.
don't grade that stuff anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
But
you're
like when I
accepted me on that.
was,
Yeah. Okay.
there's times where I'm like, okay, does this change how I understand it? Because obviously, like, you need to be able to write with proper grammar.
Absolutely.
If like that's a big thing. Because if it's unreadable, that's a problem.
Oh yeah, and honestly, my stuff is completely unreadable, even to this day.
Says the guy writing a comic book.
Oh my god, yeah, right. But you don't even. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So we're working on issue 2. I'll get into the
That's what
comic book
editors are
history.
for.
Yeah, no, but I know, but I don't know. I just like to have my hands in the weeds. I'm a worker, like I told
What's
you,
up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing? So I'm a worker. I always like to have my hands in it. I don't have to be like, I'm not like obsessed, but this is
Yeah.
my first comic ever doing. So we're working on a second comic now, um, and shout out to Waylon Weathers, aka Way Way Comics, the God. You're gonna see what happens. Anyway, we'll get into that in a second. So, oh God, I totally lost track again. See, I keep rambling. It's so funny, man.
You're good.
So, when
So writing, proper grammar.
yeah. So when we write, I wrote all my script out for him already. It's already written. Like I write and then I dictate.
Yeah.
Like the way I've done this comic, I don't know if anybody's ever done a comic like this before. It's pretty much give him a couple pictures of my art, write out the script. He comes up with some ideas I like. We collaborate on that, and then boom, that's how we create pages. It's done like this. I'm not sitting with the guy in person, nothing.
Makes
There's
sense.
no 8 hours or 35 minutes of work. No, it's just literally like you do this at your leisure, and then you tell me what you come up with, and that's how it's been working out. So I was like happy because I was like, all right, now we're getting somewhere. So I took pictures of the 3 pages of script, and he hits me back. Sorry, I said I hope you can read my chicken scratch, and he goes, sorry, buddy, I can't read it. So even right now, at my ripe old age, I still can't write to where
You know,
anybody can read it.
but you know what the worst part is? Like, so writing in a notebook totally different than like what the kids are doing these days. And
Yeah.
I know that makes me sound like an old man, but I never had the opportunity to have a computer in my book bag 24/7 until I was like 16. And even then I didn't bring it to
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
That
And
wasn't a thing until college. And you had to then buy your own computer. But now, like, these kids have computers, they're using Google Docs, they have access to literally spell check and grammar checks
God damn, they got
right
Chat
there.
GPT.
Yeah, they have that. They have Grammarly, like everything you could possibly
We would
want
have been in
and need.
Harvard.
Oh my God, for sure. And yet they
Definitely.
turn in these papers to the ELA teacher and he's looking at them like, the hell is this? Did you not notice all those red lines and those green lines and all that stuff underneath all these words? Oh, I thought that was just for whatever. Like, did no
Like
one taught you what that meant? My
my
mom was
grandma
teaching
was,
me what that meant when I
yeah.
started writing on our at-home desktop in like 3rd grade.
Now I feel like I'm talking to the teacher for some reason. I feel guilty. Okay, teacher, check it out. What it was for me, it was like my punctuation was all right. It was not about 75% at my grade level. It
Okay.
was my penmanship that was atrocious. But
Yeah.
they would give me a chance to read it and rewrite it again because that's what they would make me do. And I hated that the most because I was a good writer, but I was a sloppy writer. But I could read it. But then they're like,
Yeah.
we can't read that. Now you gotta sit there, and I'm sitting there, and my penmanship is so screwed up, even as a child, that no matter how much time I take to write it neat, even in my own book. Now I know I can sit there and type it out, but kids, let me tell you something. Nothing is better than putting your own 2 hands on something. I don't
Totally
care.
agree.
I could sit here and I created some of my characters using computers, and I've created using all kinds of programs and try to do things. But I also believe in getting my hands dirty, getting in there. That's why I don't have to write it out. I decided to write it out because, for one, maybe a historical piece of history one day. Maybe it'll be in a museum. Look, these are the pages. This is what this comic was written on.
Yep.
So, um, I'm gonna announce some stuff real quick about the comic. I'm not gonna get into too much detail because I still
You're
got
good.
some legal paperwork to do this weekend, and I think everything was because I with the LLC and the comic book company, I have all that set up, but I didn't process it all the ways in. Like I got the
Mm-hmm.
copyright done, but not the LLC because when you're doing an LLC, I found this out. You have to file tax work every 90 days, whether you're making money or not.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, why am I going to do the LLC if the book's not even ready yet? So
Yeah.
the hardest part was making the book first.
Because then you're
And
doing extra work every 90 days for no reason.
yeah, so I decided that with the LLC, once I had my hands on the book, Then I'll LLC the company, and then now that book is protected under the LLC. So, um, this this comic, first of all, I don't know if one even exists like this, but I do believe, and I'm gonna look this up. And if you can find out the information, we can make this a topic. Then so be it. I don't
Okay.
think I've ever heard of anyone doing a freaking panel complete comic. And I'm talking about inking, lettering, animation, lines, everything, borders, everything. I think this is the first handmade comic in history. This was handmade by Waylon Weathers, aka Wayway's Comics. Handmade. Okay? Everything. He did everything. The coloring, the lettering, everything. He he made borders, everything. Like it looks like a comic, but it was handmade. Every page is handmade. So that's one thing about this comic. Another thing is it's gonna be in the manga style. I do believe that there is a comic that exists already, and it's called God Slap. And there's this kid called Penguin 22. If I'm saying his name right, he's like one of the biggest YouTubers right now. He has about I think he has 5 to 6 million subscribers.
Wow.
So I think that's the only other comic that I've ever seen that exists like that. I don't know if his actually exists like this. That's why I'm putting it out there. Mine's is going to be a manga comic. So in other words, Way Way's made the cover for the comic. I have the original art. So what I'm doing for my first book is it's going to be a two-sided cover. There's going to be a back and a front cover. My original art will be in the back, and his art will be in the front. What I'm going to do with the comic though is, you see how when you have a comic and you open it up and you open it from left to right. No, my comic is going to be like a manga. It's going to open from right to left. So it's going to be a comic style comic, but it's going to have the manga where you're going to be able to open it like a manga. So you're going to be reading it from, you know, from right to left. And that's
Yeah.
how you're going to be reading it. I'm actually from left to right. So you're going to be
Which I'm
going
gonna hate you
backwards.
because I'm a teacher, but
But you got to understand something. Because the art, when I showed you some of the pictures, so I showed you a couple of things. I'm gonna give you more stuff behind the scenes, and we can't really share right now. But trust
yeah.
me, by next week, this will all be out there. Because once the LLC is done, then that's it. I can go public with everything. But you see some of the pictures. So the styling of the art for me, it's like a manga slash Marvel style. It's exactly what I wanted, like a Marvel DC, but with that manga. Because I don't want to just draw people in. Look, comics in this country is declining, but creativity is on the rise. And I'm not
Definitely.
talking about AI. You kids need the AI, then that's your jam. We don't need it. Everything you see back here is from the generation before me. And that's who passed their knowledge on to me. We're Gen X, and we're bringing everything that we know from this generation back into the present, back into the future, if you want to call it.
So I'm looking up God Slap right now, and I mean it looks legit.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love the
really.
artwork of it.
I actually want to get some of that. Shout out to my boy. I think his name is Penguins 22. His name's Charlie. Um,
Okay.
and the book looks good. It actually, I think it's about if I'm not mistaken, it's just about dudes who are in a tournament and they just slapping the hell out of each other, and but they're becoming stronger. It's just like a crazy manga. I want to read that, but I just like I said, I don't. I gotta
This
figure out
one,
how to
right?
order it. Let me see. Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Godslike. Look at
Okay.
the art. It looks badass too. You know.
Yeah.
So like
I
what
don't
up?
know if it's in manga style, but because there's nothing on it that says it, and obviously there's no like, here's the digital issue, flip
Yeah.
through it, so I can't tell. But
Right, right. Well, yeah, maybe I'll be on the original then. That would be cool.
yeah,
But anyway, I'm gonna print them like mangas, and for my comics, the first I'm gonna make exclusively 1,000 comics to start out. This is all self-funded, by the way. I'm not doing crowd raising, crowdfunding, none of that because I could do it. I will do it eventually when the mass production comes in. But this is what I decided to do because I love the project so much. I am going to be making 1,000 of these, only 1,000. I am going to have each one of them etched. Etching means I'm going to number them. Each one on the first page on the inside of the slot is going to have a little blank space. And in that blank space, I'll number. I'm taking number one, by the way. I have to take number one. I'm gonna do a YouTube show on it when I sit there and number. Hey, what's up? How you doing? When I sit there and number every single one, I'm gonna have a YouTube live show going, and I'm gonna number every single one of them. and I'm gonna put them in. That's why. Oh, your friend, I gotta hook up with him too because I have the bags, but I need those clear boards. It's gonna help with my two-sided cover. It's gonna
Yeah.
look nice. So I'm gonna
With a
present
two
the
sided cover, you got to put a clear board in there because it's like, what's the point?
absolutely, absolutely, and it's a beautiful. It's gonna just be like the hardest part. I'll be honest, because as I'm discovering this, maybe someone's watching and they want to know how to do comics, and I can tell you so far from what I learned, and I'm gonna be honest, to get them printed, it's not as hard as you think they would be. I mean, pretty much from what I'm understanding, and I've been calling a couple of printers. Um, so long as you find a printer that can make magazines, you can find printers who can make comics. And I was
Yeah.
talking to one of them. They kind of knew what I was talking about, but we were confused with the binding. But then I realized something. So the binding now, when you're doing comics, you got to say staple bound. I didn't know that. I learned that.
Hmm.
So staple bound, 2 pound, and they asked you 2 staples. Yes. Maybe I'll put
Not
4.
not
No,
four.
I'm gonna
You
put
you
eight.
don't you don't
Eight.
want to sleep with Clayton Crane?
I'll be in the threesome with him and his Clayton Crane's wife and his new girlfriend. Oh goddamn, that whole mess, man. Hide your wives. Yo, listen, I'm not having that situation. No, no, no. So yeah, I mean the book has so much potential, and I'm really excited about it because I believe like from the story, and you'll see when you really see what I got going on, you're gonna be like, my God, me personally, it's my book. Maybe I'm wrong, and please, people, you guys get this book. I want YouTubers to review this, and I don't care if you think it sucks. Please give it to me hard. I don't care. I want to know. But if you think it's good, just really let me know because trust me when I tell you, I have an entire freaking Tolkien universe already, and I'm not even done writing it yet. It's all in my head though. I'm already thinking about the fourth season, the fifth. That's how far I am ahead in the story.
Yeah.
It's so I wish I could just share this with all you guys, but then you wouldn't be on the journey with me. So,
And you have
so
issue 1 written?
so issue 1 is complete,
Okay.
written, art, everything done. I have all the original prints, right? And I'm not gonna show them now. I'm gonna show them next week when
Yep.
everything is legit. So, and that's when I'll actually start showing the prints. It's 25 pages, and they're hand
Which is
drawn.
a good size comic.
Yeah, and the thing is that I was looking for advertisers, but then I decided no because I forgot my company is going to go in the last page, and I already
Mhm.
have the logo and everything made by Wayland Weathers as well, and that will be the advertisement, and that's where I'm going to put my website. I'm going to be building a website this weekend for business,
There you
and I'm
go.
going to have my website up. I don't know how to do this well, but I heard Wix is good, and I know people that could do it for me. So I already have somebody working on it for me. I said, just go to Wix, do what you gotta do. Oh, I know how
Yep.
to embed it. I know how to reprogram to add on. My perfect. You're hired, and make me the website. And I'm gonna make the website. And I found a printer so far that I could do 1,000 for 1,500, but I believe I could find a better deal. So I'm going to cause there's another thing you guys need to know too, and I learned this today. Shout out to our hidden artist, Nico Artist Supreme. Nico tells us today, hey, you're going to get that book scan? And I'm like, I was just going to take high res photos. Nico said, no, you have to get a scan because this is what the professionals do with the comics. And I'm like, okay. So I started asking around. Yeah, that's exactly the. So I told Nico, yeah, I got to take it to a place where they can just scan it. So I have found one place so far, 1,500. But I think I can find it cheaper. So my goal is to make about 1,000 of these. They're gonna be limited printed. I'm never gonna make these ever again. Now, if it takes off, I'll start doing the crowdfunding because I think by that time I'm gonna have enough buzz on it. And since these are gonna be exclusives, I'm not gonna go too crazy and throw a huge price on them. I mean, I figure a book like that, two-sided, hand drawn, it's a collector's item only to 1,000. I'm gonna charge 10 for it. You want me to sign
Yeah.
it? I don't know. I'll charge another 10. But you don't even have
So,
to have me sign anything. I'm etching every one, so my signature is gonna be at every one. All those
yeah.
numbers will be done by me, hand done on camera live.
The one thing that I do love about oh shit, who's the one that writes White Widow?
Oh yeah,
That
yeah. I don't. I
absolute
yeah. I love the White Widow. The White Widow kind of reminds me of my story as well. We kind of close in that way. I really gotta say, like, and I'm thinking about it now. I saw one cover where I have my character and he's wearing like a flight mask, and I saw a
okay.
White Widow cover where she's wearing a mask that was similar, and I was like, damn, did I really like? But I did come up with the mask though. Wayways did. But there's also things I like about when we're working together because he's absolutely adding to the lore. It's not just me and I wrote it.
Yeah.
Understand? I wrote it. I create the characters, but he's adding to the lore of the characters, like the human side of the character that we use. Wait, I won't need long walk around laser focus. Yeah, that's right, homie. So
That's how you show up to a con.
yep, exactly. Um,
um
yeah, I'm sorry.
no, so yeah, Absolute Comics Group. I was watching their whatnots and stuff for a while just because he's a great guy. I love watching him talk, or I love listening to him talk about his books because you can tell he loves them. Um, whether he wrote them or it was someone else who did the artwork, like, you know what I mean. But you
Yeah,
can see like the love that he has for comics when he's talking about all this, and he signs everything free of charge. Him, I think Jamie Tyndall's on there. All of them will sign free of charge because they're paying like $50 for one of these books usually
right,
because it's
right.
all of like the specials. And then, but if you want a COA, then it's $5. So like that might be something to even look into as well because it's like, hey, you want my signature? We can
Oh yeah,
talk
that's a
about
good
it.
idea. See.
And then you want a COA, like then that's an extra expense because I've
Oh,
now
you
got
know
to
what?
get a
That would
COA. I've
be
got to,
that would be actually better. I would charge for $10. I figure I got to give myself some value. I'll sign your book and I give you a certificate of
yeah,
authenticity signed by me. The same book
yep.
with the number. I do the exact same template that is in the book. So when you open up the
And
book, the template's gonna match. See that?
yep,
Thank you. See, I'm gonna
see,
shout you out in the book.
yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do
Yeah,
because
that's a
with,
great
with
idea.
how with how CGC is going lately, and then how CBCS is going, I guess CBCS won't even authenticate Stan's signature anymore. Stan Lee.
Really?
I just heard that
Oh no, and I got so
because
much stuff I gotta send in this all stand signed. I swear to God, I must have about 25 books laying around with him. But continue. I'm getting
toward the end,
horrified
his
now.
signature looks so different than what it was for
Yes,
years and
yes,
years
yeah.
that
The
they don't
newest
know what's a
signature.
Stan signature and what isn't anymore.
Yeah, but luckily I have the real old Stan,
Yes.
clear Stan Leaf thing. I have it clear. Believe me, they can authenticate what I don't. But I know what they're talking about. They're talking about towards the end of his life where it was just like one big blur. Yeah,
Yep.
it's very hard to authenticate that. But I have some
But
Stan Lees that are signed with. Well, you know what? I'm looking at one now, and yeah, I think I have the same problem that you were talking about because this had to have been signed in 2017. You mind to give me a second? I'm gonna grab this 300. Hold on.
all good.
It has his signature on it. Hold on.
Yeah, and like that was one of the biggest things. I found it so interesting that toward the end of his life, I mean, obviously he's signing and signing and signing, and they were talking about how
I see what you're talking about.
there
You
would
know
be
what?
long
I think
lines.
you're 100% right
Yeah.
because this one was signed, and yeah, this is the year. Now that's the signature, and you're
Yep.
starting to see. You see that? That's when Stan Lee's signature was getting desecrated because he was too old to sign at that point.
It,
And
and
this one was signed in 2017 or 16. Yeah.
they were pushing him to sign hundreds of books a day. And
Listen, I
it's
know
like,
it was horrible.
it's crazy.
I found
You're
out a
talking
lot of
about a
this stuff.
90-year-old man
Yeah.
signing and signing and
No,
signing. Like,
older. He was about 92, 93. They were still making
yeah,
him sign. They didn't care. He was literally like almost out of it. His wife died, and once she died, pretty much that's it. It's like
that's what someone was saying on one of the comment boards I saw.
that's why I will not let that happen to me because when I'm 150 years old and anybody tries me, I'm still gonna be here. But yeah,
Honestly, they should just give him a stamp.
yeah, but you're totally right about that. Look, you're told. Look at that signature. That
Yeah.
is a big difference, and I know because I have another one up there. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna grab this
It,
other one.
there were so many signatures of his that I mean looked exactly like him, and then boom. Um, Pocan and Hoarders. I don't know where you guys are located, but if you're located anywhere near Western New York, there is a small con.
This one was only this one was about a year before, but you can see like on this, this is his old school signature. You see that?
Yeah,
That's his Stanley,
with it
and
almost looks like a star.
that's what he wind up signing at the
Yeah,
end. And if it wasn't for CGC sitting there and authenticating that, like I can understand why CBCS would be like, I can't really make that out
yeah,
compared to, let's see, yeah, you could see the difference. Oh yeah, look at that. That's the
100%.
that's
And
the old.
when was that one signed?
This one was signed in Um, 7/22/16. He signed this in 2016. So this is
Okay.
like a year difference. A
Yep.
year difference. That was a year difference. And
Which is
yeah, and now
crazy.
yeah, a year difference. Yeah, that's insane. I don't know, Stan, man, but it's all good, you know. I'm not gonna be a slave to CGC. I'm gonna have my own CGC. Like you know how people say they wanted to, work for Marvel. Yeah,
Yep.
I wanted to work for Marvel, but then I decided no, I'm just gonna work for me. So I wanted to work for CGC too, but then I decided no, I'll just work for me. Why don't I authenticate comics? Why don't I grade them? I can grade. I know
Yeah.
exactly how to grade. I know. I went to comic school. Okay, I know about building books. I just never built one because I was going to. I always had designs to make my own comic, print it, put it together page by page, print it out. I was gonna actually go all out. Maybe I'll do it one day just for the authentication of it, and go get me a real old school freaking 40s, 50s printing press and let that baby
That'd be
rip
cool.
and find a warehouse. So if you're up in the mountains somewhere, if you ever see a warehouse that you think they have a printing press and you look inside, you see a bunch of old paper, let me know.
Okay.
That's the paper. That's the golden age paper.
Will
Like,
do.
like I like all this.
That'd be
So
legit to find
I
some golden age comic book paper,
that's my
like
dream.
still
That's my dream.
usable, I guess is
Yeah.
the best way to put it.
Oh, definitely. I'm gonna tell you how this works. So, rolls of paper. If you ever seen them, like the when before you even get them cut up, they're
Hmm.
humongous. They're
Oh
giant. They
yeah.
weigh thousands of pounds. So these things are
On the
waxed
big
up.
spools you're talking
Yeah,
about?
I'm
Yeah.
talking. That's how all the paper comes. And then what they do is they'll send it in through the machine. Like if you're doing newspaper, it cuts a certain way. If you're doing comics or magazines, it cuts in another way. It
Yep.
was just like a manual piece you had to set on the machine to get it to cut the way you wanted to and print the way you want to, and then you just let the presses roll. It'll almost look like a bread machine because there's like these weird like
Hmm.
handles that come out and it flips everything out, and it just folds and it keeps it going. Um, so yeah, that's my dream. Like, I want to really go somewhere deep where no one's been for years, but it was a printing press, let's say, and I know they haven't been in the building for 20, 30 years, 40 years. Find those old school paper, that golden age paper. You see?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I charge money for that because I'm gonna tell you right now, you kids, you got comics, but you don't got comics. When you
Yeah.
open up my comics, when you come into the lair, you smell the comics. You
Oh yeah.
understand that old
It's a
school?
totally different thing.
These kids don't know that paper that doesn't waste. What are you
E-
doing? How are you gonna smell the
Even from
comics?
like the 70s and 80s, it doesn't smell the same. It's
No.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to like the late 60s and before, if you can find a comic book from that era, it's totally different. It
I'll
and
tell you.
I don't know why. I can't explain it. It just it it has a certain must about it.
Yeah. You know what?
Maybe it's the mold growing in the pages. Maybe
Well,
it's
I mean, I'll be honest. I never had that kind of problem because thank God almost everywhere I ever lived was completely dry. Like for comics, dry, which is like what you
okay.
really want. Not too dry, but you don't want
Yeah.
humidity
Like
either.
that perfect humidity
But
level.
it's that paper. It's the way it ages. That's what it is. It's like you put away something in plastic. What does that plastic do? It keeps it fresh.
Yep.
So that smell never goes away. So when you smell that smell, that's the fresh paper that was cut
Yep.
and just never dissipated. That's that smell you don't get from the laminated paper
Yeah.
because this paper that was
Yeah,
made
that
like
glossy stock.
yeah, that glossy stock you're not gonna get that, but the
Yep.
newspaper ones you will because it's got that gritty, grindy paper. Like it's almost like a sandy kind of paper. Like when you touch it, you can feel it has some grit to it. Not like the smooth stuff. It's got
I'm
nice
really
grit to it.
I'm really interested to see, and I would love to put like a comic book in a time capsule in like 5 different ways. Like with a Mylar bag, with a regular bag, with no bag at all, and do just modern books, like from let's say 2010, even
Yeah.
2000, like the new era of modern books when they started, and then now, and put them in a time capsule, open them up in 30 to 40 years, and see what they look like. Because
No,
I mean, if you
see
look
what
back
they
at like the
smell like.
60s,
I
well,
want
that
to see what
too,
these things. I want to smell these things
that too,
because if they're not gonna smell like anything, and I'm just gonna burn the whole pile because you're evil. You're not gonna ever die. That's the whole.
but
That's
like,
why comics are valuable. The old ones because they degradate.
yeah, seeing what happens over the years of all the stuff that's kind of happened with just books that are from that early era of comics. Like I've got my oldest book right now is 1976 Nova #1,
Oh, the
and
Nova.
it's graded at an 8 because the major part that had it graded at an 8 is because the staples stained. So it's
Oh,
that red rust, or
yeah,
it's not
and you
even
know,
rust, it's that reddish
yeah, I know what you mean. It just got
staining.
partially stained. Yeah, like an
Yep.
orange stain on the staple.
Yes.
And if
Yep.
you try to take that off, now they can hit you with a modified grade, and you'll get a purple label for that. You can't
Yep.
even touch it. Yeah, and believe me, I done it plenty of times. I got away with it, but with CGC. Shout out to CGC! Ha! I done it plenty of times, but yeah, you could actually get a purple label coming back. You don't want that, you know. So you just gotta leave it like that. Unfortunately, I don't understand. You want the clean look. I
Yeah, I
get
bought
that.
it at auction for $66 at
Okay,
an 8.
good. That's
So
good. I don't even
that
know what
was
the
definitely
oldest.
one of my grails that I always wanted, because I was like, I love Richard Rider. I haven't read much of him because I just got into comics shortly before then.
Yeah,
And that came up on an auction. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bid on it. I'll see what it goes to. If it
yep.
goes past 100, I'm stopping. And it stopped at 60, and I bid 60, and someone decided, they were like, you know what, I'm gonna go 61, and I was like, you know what, I'll go 62. Like we went dollar for dollar for a little bit, and it was sitting at 62. He bid 64. I was like, oh, we're gonna do $2 now. I was like, instead of 65, because like 65 is a nice round number, I was like, I'm gonna do 66. I'm gonna put 66 on that and see what happens. And lo and behold, I won it.
So here's some Golden Age comics. Wait, are these Golden Age? Wait, hold on. No, they're not Golden Age because they
um
have the Comic Code Authority on them. These are Silver Age, but these are Silver Age
okay,
Adventure comics. So I was getting a
so
little excited. I do have a Golden Age one. I have an Adventure comics that was pretty much like, and shout out to Mark Spector Comics. We had a conversation about this, and I showed him something because he does know about the Comic Code Authority. He goes, "Oh, it started in this year," but I
yeah,
told him it actually started, I believe, in 1957, and the book was 56 November. Now,
okay,
but it had the Comic Code Authority on it. But
yeah.
57 is when the Silver Age begins.
And that's
56 is
what's so
when the
weird
end of the
about
golden age because
comics.
of the comic code authority. This is what it is about. It's because now comics were becoming such a business that you know how the government was and still is,
Yep.
always trying to tell you what you can say, what you can't say, worried about the kids. Use that as an excuse to push your agenda, and that's exactly what happened back then. So you had a comic code authority that was coming up. So now me and Mark Spector Comics was having a conversation about it because I told him this is a golden age book. He goes, no, because it got the Comic Code Authority on it. I said, no, because their books were already ready for the
Mm,
Comic Code Authority before the Comic Code Authority even came along. And since their book was ready, the Comic Code Authority asked them, would you mind if we put this on your book? They were like, no, why would we mind? So when you look
yeah.
at it, it looks like, so I think the person that I bought it from thought the same thing. Like, oh, this is
Mm,
a Silver Age book and just
must be.
dumped it. But
Yep.
no, literally, he know if he would have read, February was when the Comic Code Authority took over. This was a voluntarily moved by DC to put that book out,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, it still is a Golden Age book.
Well, and so real quick, speaking of like golden and silver age, Joe Rubenstein
Yes.
and Don McGregor are going to be in Rochester next weekend, July 7th and 8th, for Empire Comic Fest. So if you're near
Oh,
Western New York at all, after the 4th of July, definitely stop in, say hi to Joe and Don.
send me the deets.
Um,
Are you
will
gonna be
do.
there? You gonna
I
be there?
won't be there on the 8th because that's my brother's celebration of life that we're doing. So I'll be
Okay.
doing that all day. I'm going to try to stop in on the 7th. So
Okay.
Friday, once I get done with meetings and stuff, I should be there around 3:30.
Or
So
yeah, fine. Also, since you're in the area, just let me know if you find any kind of printers. I'm just
will
curious.
do.
You know, anything like
Yeah.
hey, anybody knows where I can get comics printed? And just tell them I want to make 1,000 comics standard. What do you charge? Just let me know. I'm curious to know
Okay.
because I feel like in your area is the start of where I'm gonna find this golden age printing press. It's
Mm-hmm.
waiting for me out there. I know it's gonna be mine one day. I'm gonna find you. Don't worry. I'm still looking for you after all these years. I
Well,
talked to this building like it's mine already. Don't worry. I'm coming for you. You
it's
know?
funny that you bring that up because up until I want to say like 5 to 7 years ago, there was actually a World War II shipbuilding um, factory that was still just down the street from where I live now.
See?
And I was like, I really want to go explore there, but I was always too young when it was like there, and it was all you could
Yeah.
tell that it was dilapidated. Probably shouldn't even be touching like the outside of it or breathing in any of the asbestos that's probably all over it.
Asbestos
Um,
smashed this. We're all right. I mean, I grew up in a time of
and
lead. Trust me, it was lead and gasoline. We wound up being just fine. We swam in the East River full of shit. We good, but continue.
um, I always wanted to go explore there, but like
Yeah,
if there
I
was
understand.
ever a golden age of comic or a golden age like printing press in Rochester, that's probably where it would have been.
Oh,
My
that's a
wife
shame,
also
man.
worked on the Temple building in the city of Rochester. They
Right.
found so much cool shit in there when they started redoing it.
Oh my
She's like,
God.
I wish I could have taken half the stuff out of there that I found just because it was so interesting, but it was either too big or too dilapidated or somebody owned it and no one knew who.
Yeah. So you're like, hey, I got your property over here for
Yep.
safekeeping. That's what you always say. Okay, we don't know who this belongs to. Let's do a 30-day deal. I'm
Yep.
keeping it for safekeeping. After 30 days, nobody comes to claim it. I'll take it as mine. You're allowed to do that by law. You can do that.
Yep.
Anything that you find and you're not sure who it is, you just say, I'm taking it, and this is my contact information. And if you can claim and tell me what it is that you got, it's
Yep.
yours. You get it right back. And believe me, you got a lot of good stuff like that. But like, yeah, like where I'm at, like, I mean, I was doing like I've always been buying comics since I was little. I stopped buying for a few years, but I trust me, my contacts may contact me again because they remember me as a kid being like one of the most loyalist customers. So they were like, "We're gonna help you make up for all your lost collection that you didn't get over the years," and I did, and I appreciate that. So everything that I could have collected back then, I already collected 4 times over, and I'm still collecting. So it's good though because hey, it's an overflow. It's a like
Yeah.
if you could imagine being in a position where you wind up just falling into thousands and tens of thousands of comics and but you're doing this as your own personal collection, that's what's going on pretty much, not including the new stuff. I mean, I'm looking at piles of comics I got right now. I mean, let me see, can I push it in over, wait, so let's see. So all those target bags, those are all comics,
That's legit.
and it's just all the ways back. I mean, I gotta say honestly, that's about um, I buy bundles of 3. Oh my
Okay.
god, I got some legendary shit this week. No, really, I was leaving impressed. Like when I got my hands on, I got my hands on I'm trying to remember them in order, but I know I remember the one specific because it is a freaking minor grail. The last book that I pulled out the pile at the very last book, Ultimate Fallout 6, original Ultimate Fallout 6
Okay.
in the pack. That these packs I pay like $10 for. A
Wow.
fucking a grail. I'm looking it up. It's worth about $90. But in a CGC 98, that book is pulling 350 right now.
Really?
Yes. So that's one of the grails I got. The other one I got was um um I got a spectacular Spider-Man annual number 7 with the Puma when he's
Okay.
ripping the other Amazing Spider-Man annual apart of Mary Jane and Peter Parker getting married. So on that
Yep.
cover, you got the Puma pulling that apart. So I was like, oh my god, another freaking grail. I was like, I can't believe I'm finding these things. Like, so sometimes I come across things that are
Not
like
this one, right?
yes,
That
that
one?
one. Hold if say something for a few seconds. Let me go get these comics. They're just right downstairs. Give me about 30 seconds. I know I don't like
Yo.
bringing the show, but I gotta show you this stack, man. It's that good. Trust me. Be right back.
um so anyways, as he's going, I definitely want to talk about Secret Invasion real quick. Secret Invasion was or is episode 2 right now. Definitely loving that simply because I'm excited to see where everything goes with it. I really don't care about the whole AI, not no AI for
All right, I'm back. Sorry about
all
that.
that, but you know,
All right. See,
I
I
know
was so
Spider Slayer is
close.
gonna have
I was
something to
supposed to
say
bring it
about
up
Secret
earlier. I
Invasion.
forgot. So,
Yeah.
nah, this is like these 5 packs. I'm saying like I'm really was blown away by them.
Okay.
So this was the first one. Avengers Spider-Man #1. Got that in the pack, right? I think
Yep.
this one's worth about $25. I don't know what it is CGC'd. And then well, I'll tell you about the Puma one. See that?
Yep.
This is worth about
Okay.
$20 something, maybe 150, 200 CGC. They're
Nice.
9.8, and they're all 9.8s. They're not like
Yeah.
Now this one, this is
They're not
really
chintzy.
expensive. The Spider-Man, Angel, and
Okay.
Iceman. Why? Because you see that? The barcode edition. And guess
Oh
who
yeah.
made this cover? This is a
Who?
McFarlane cover. That's why it's
Really?
expensive. Oh yeah, see, a lot of people don't know that. Right there, my friend, if I can get it in the camera.
Yep.
Right there, McFarlane. This is the fourth one I got.
Very
Web of
cool.
Spider-Man, number 50. What about
Yep.
20, $30? I think CGC like 150. But this was the granddaddy of them all. Yeah, baby, I got it too. But I have this already. I was
Okay.
going through this recently. I have the original one. So when I saw this, I was like, yo, I told my guy, I was like, he goes, oh, you found it. I'm like, where's the others? He goes, oh, wait, I have some one next week. He said, maybe he's going to throw me a number 5. I said, you know what number's good though? I heard the number 4 was good. He laughed when I told him that. Can't get any more 4s. But yeah, this was a good haul I picked up this week, and I'm gonna look at that.
I picked this up for
baby.
picked this up for $5. Because eventually I would love to have a run of Ultimate Fallout.
What do you mean from 1 to 6?
From 1 to 6.
I have the whole Fallout.
This staple
Nice.
right here is a little bit in, and there's a little color breaking spine tick above it, so I'm already thinking like a 9.6. And then I just noticed this when I was looking more closely at it, that this little corner, the first 2 pages are folded. So if that's color breaking, that's probably brought it down to a 9. But
nah, you got a 9.2 there, definitely. With a decent price, a 9.2 for sure.
I
don't have
paid
enough damage.
$5
I can show you a 9.2. Yeah. Like this one I'm looking at right now, I'll be honest, there's nothing wrong with it. This is a perfect 9.8. Like that's the one thing too. Like when I get comics, I usually like I'm lucky to have had this. This was at the bottom of a huge. This was, I tell you, young people, I don't care where you pick comics from, dollar bins,
yep,
comic shop, always go to the back, always go to the bottom, always, because old schoolers like to do shit like this all the time, and this is why people like me get books like that all the time, because I have no problem sitting there and throwing my back. You got to see, like on a weekly basis. If I told you guys, like I go through like this week alone, let me see, 3, 4, 7, 10. About I went through just this is on a weekly basis, by the way. About 16 long boxes, and this is how they sell me the comics. They'll put them in long boxes, they're all random like this, and you just dig. So people have boxes that are stacked to the floor, they don't want to dig. So I pull all that out because these people are either too young, they can't handle it, or they're too old. I don't know. I just go in there and dig, and I pull out what I want, and I take my time. They see me coming, they just say, "Oh, we got you set up over here." Like I'll be the first one to get the comics, so before they even sell it, they'll put me to the side. Here, we got you all set up. You're all set. Like it's like walking into a freaking room of a direct deposit room, but instead of a direct deposit box, they bring you boxes of comics. So I'm like, thanks, man. I'll be here for about a half hour.
The one shop I go to has, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them, but over here I've got this wood shelf.
Yes, I see.
So he's got wood shelves like that, and then has long boxes. So there was like the first time I ever went in there, I was just looking to do some gap filler issues for Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm down on all fours, looking like in here. There's like maybe this much space between the top of the wood and where the box is, and he goes, "Dude, just pull it out and put it up there." And I was like, "What? I can do that? Like, you're okay with me taking this long box of comics out and putting it up here, and I'm not going to get yelled at? Like, I'm nerding out right now, and you're okay with that?" Because I've been in some comic shops where they're like, "Leave everything where it is. Don't move it. Don't touch anything. Just look with your eyes." And it's like, okay.
Wow, what the hell?
Oh yeah, there's one shop in Brockport, New York, that my brother-in-law went in there. They had a Deadpool bust that was a piggy bank. a Batman piggy bank, and like a couple other like really nerdy things. And he's just like looking at everything, like pulling it off the shelf, inspecting it. And he goes, the owner's sitting at behind the desk, and he's like, "Are you going to buy anything?" And I'm like, "Well, we're looking. We might. I don't know."
Yeah.
He's happy to be home. He's been in the military for 4 years, and he's just on cloud nine in nerd heaven right now, looking at all the Deadpool and Batman stuff you've got. And he didn't like that my brother-in-law was like that giddy with excitement in his comic shop. He thought that something was going to break, or he thought that like we didn't understand the
Oh, why you break getting paid
the
for it? You're adults. Come
yeah,
on.
exactly, that we didn't understand like the legendary status behind some of the stuff that was in his shop, and nothing that was really that big.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, hold on one second.
Sure, sure.
My wife letting me know that I need to bring stuff up to her and all that fun stuff. So last thing I want to talk about real quick. Got about 2 minutes. What are your thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion?
I'll be honest, okay, because first of all, I always gonna love Samuel. I like how they did the fact that he's not done yet. Like everybody thinks that he's soft, that he's done.
Yeah.
He's not done. Um, what I liked about it is that once he comes back from outer space, that's it. He's not fucking around, and he already knows about the scrolls, and um this is something they always knew about, but the scrolls I guess are coming back now in full
Mm-hmm.
force because I guess everything with I think if they're following continuity, which I think they actually are trying, it seems like this may follow Agents of Shield. I have to watch that over again because it's been
Yeah.
so long. But I don't know if you watched Agents of Shield,
A little
but
bit.
I think yeah. So these two universes are made to in a intertwine with each other. So I think a lot of for what I've seen, I do see a lot of Agents of Shield kind of like, and I liked Agents of Shield. To me, that was like one of the best shows they had. It was slow though. It was
Yeah.
one of those like it was like watching a Marvel show, but instead of seeing Marvel, you would see in the X Files. That's the best way I can describe
That makes
what
sense.
Agents of Shield was to me. So. But Samuel L. Jackson's on a whole nother level because
Yep.
understand he's the son of the original Nick Fury. See, so a lot of people who don't know the law because everybody's like, well, they never explain it, and this is, I guess, where nobody cared of Samuel L. Jackson, but he's not the original Nick Fury. His dad is.
Yeah.
And his dad's white. They don't say how he's black. I guess his mother was black, and his father's white. That happens. It can happen. They just never
Yep.
really got into it. So if this incarnation of Nick Fury is not the original Nick Fury, people got that confused for years because we used to always go back and forth, and then I actually got it from the actual people who was actually writing and say, no, 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 he is Nick Fury's child. I'm like, whoa, okay, but okay,
Interesting. I
so
never knew that. I always
I
thought they
know a
just
lot of people.
changed the lore.
No,
Okay.
even with the eye patch, like his fault, it was like the eye patch, like the way that Nick Fury loses his eye. I think it was he got shot, I
Okay.
believe. But in
I
this
love the
story,
Flurkin losing the eye.
yeah,
Like,
in this story, yeah, it's just a
yeah.
cat. But that was either a Kree or a Skrull. Who's
Okay.
the one that changed the change shifters, the shift changes? I think it's the Kree. It was one of them that did it. They transformed into a cat and fucked his
Okay.
eye up. So it was an alien that did that to him. It wasn't a normal. Cause look at his eye. Like if you saw
Yeah.
how that scratch, that's not a normal kitty.
It was
No cat's
the
gonna do that to you.
Flurkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So transform into a cat, scratch him in the freaking eye. That's
Yep.
how he got that. Dad lost his eye. Same eye though, in the freaking shootout when they were on a mission. He lost his eye.
Okay.
I forget exactly how. I
Like
gotta go
father,
into
like
because
son.
yeah, it's funny. It's just like almost the exact same thing. And
And
it's just I'll be honest. I like Samuel L. Jackson in the role. I always liked him because I always felt like he brought like a little pizzazz to the MCU at the time that was really needed. You needed a kick-ass fearless lead out there. It wasn't going to take no shit. And Samuel L.
yeah.
Jackson, at the beginning of that, he was literally that guy. Like like he fit the role
Yeah.
perfectly. Like you just wanted to see him show up because in his day, back in the day when I was watching him really up on like the Pulp Fiction. I remember when Pulp Fiction was new, and I'm watching him perform.
Yep.
He's Julius. I'm like, God damn, this guy is amazing. I actually met Samuel L. Jackson once on my old job. So you know my old job, and you can imagine this. Um, he was on the trains, and I think he was going to an acting gig, right? Or he was going to like to I guess a community play place where I guess they do theater. Nice guy, you know. And we didn't know
Yeah.
who he was back then, but he was telling us about the theaters and everything. And he came up to us. He said, "I always wanted to thank you guys. You always do a great job." We're like, "Oh well, you're welcome, no problem." So it was a little familiar because I'm an actor, I'm doing this and doing that, and you guys really like, you know, he says, "I was messing up for a while. I was really
Okay.
messing up, but you guys helped me get straight, and you didn't let me slip, and I'm always gonna appreciate that about you guys." I was like, "Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm new to the job. You know what I'm talking about. I'm new to the job, so I'm just like, oh, cool, but I know you, dude. You've been in some movies." He's like, "Yeah, yeah." So I'm like, but he's telling us a story about what happened, like years
Okay.
before that, even before I started the job, what
So
he went through, and then he just
the
came up
reason
to
I
us
bring
one day,
this
just
up
started talking to us.
is this is a 6-issue series, and I would love for
Hmm.
next week for us to do a 3-episode review
Okay,
and a 3-episode breakdown. So like,
okay, I'm
where is
down
it
to do
at?
that.
Where are we going? And then any theories for the ending? Because like this goes way off the comics, and that's fine by me. I mean, if you're
Yeah,
gonna go in
and I
different
like
directions,
that.
cool.
Like I said, yeah. Look,
And
I hear
that's
people
why
all
I
the time
loved
saying
it.
law, law,
Episode
law,
2.
law. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So look,
but
like I hate when people say law, law,
spoilers
law,
all
law,
next
law. This
week.
is not law. Yeah, all spoilers next week.
Yep.
We'll have everything, all 3 episodes, and I'm gonna give you my honest assessment of what I'm thinking because from what I can tell right now, I know what you're talking about with episode 2. We'll talk about that offline, but
Yep.
yeah, I can see where the next episode is gonna go, and if it goes the way I think it's gonna go, I can see the entire season like being crazy. So, um, and like I said, it's Disney, but they don't they don't screw everything up. So this is one of
Yep.
those stories that just give it a chance. I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. So yeah, we'll talk
Definitely.
about it next week. Sorry that we rambled about all kinds of stuff. Oh man, but you know what's so good though? This is what makes it entertaining, people.
Yep.
And I hope that you guys learned something from us. And if you have any questions, you can hit us up anytime. We
For
both
sure.
have Instagram. I have my own YouTube channel at the Spider's Lair. I mean, I have a comic coming out next week. Um, I, when I'm ready to do everything, we're gonna set everything up. We're gonna do everything will be produced. I'm gonna have everything come on this show. When I do my comic and everything's
Definitely.
done, I'm gonna be on the show. That's gonna be mask off. That's it. We're gonna go totally live because now you're gonna get to meet the CEO. And I'm not gonna go into too much of history about myself personally. I'm just gonna say a couple things, because I already know what's gonna happen in time. I mean, I don't even know if I should say it because then it's putting ideas in people's
Yeah.
heads.
Don't
But I'm
don't
pretty
don't
sure.
say it.
Yeah,
Save
yeah.
it.
I'm not saying anything.
I
Yeah, I'm leaving that part alone. But
I'll
yeah,
see you next
I'm
Friday.
definitely my. You see how this is driving me nuts. I'm still trying to figure out that part. But thank you. You guys
Of
have a nice
course.
night.
Have a good one.
Take care.